Hi everybody, this video is for Tuesday. When you scroll down to practice, you're going to see link number 1 that says use this site to learn more about story elements exposition. So that site loads like this. This is the story of Cinderella, and across the top of the screen here, you've got different tabs to click on. There's a tab for Cinderella, and most of you are familiar with the story of Cinderella. You can read the story again if you're not
Long
familiar.
ago, in a faraway kingdom.
The second tab is for the setting of the story. And so it tells you that
One element common to every story.
one element common to every story is the setting, and the setting is when and where the story takes place. Your next tab is for characters. The characters are the people or the animals, the creatures in the story, and you can click here on the different characters if you want to learn more about them. One thing to remember about characters that in a story you have main characters, and the main characters are involved in each part of the story. The main characters show up in the beginning of the story, in the middle, and all throughout the story. Those main characters are involved in each part of the story. But there are also things called secondary characters, and secondary characters are only in certain parts of the story. They may show up in the beginning of the story, and you may never see a secondary character again. So just remember that there are main characters in a story and there are secondary characters. The next tab on this is sequence, and so it talks about the sequence of the story and how the plot unfolds. Then you have exposition. So exposition is what your lesson is about, and this tells you that um, like you, all the characters in a story have a history. Details about their pasts that are important to understanding their personality and their present lives. It's important that readers know some of these details in order to understand a story. This is called the exposition. It is the background information on the characters and setting explained at the beginning of the story. The exposition will often have information about events that happened before the story began. The exposition is often the very first part of the plot. So, your lesson today is simply to figure out who the main characters are in your story and also where is the setting. If you continue on through these tabs, you have conflict, climax, and then resolution. And we'll be coming back to these elements later on throughout our book. So, for your assignment, as you open link 2, which is your interactive notebook, you're going to notice about 3 slides here that all have the date of January 11th. So this is the plot diagram. You've seen this with your IXL lesson. This is just to remind you some of the different parts of the plot. This slide is just a sample slide, just to show you that the exposition is the beginning of the story, and then you have exposition events. You have a climax, rising action, falling action. So this diagram is simply a picture that has each of the plot elements labeled. This slide is where you're actually going to type your answers. So over here on the side, type who your main characters in the story are, and then where is the setting of the story. So once you type those things, this assignment is complete here for today. But like I said, we will revisit this because as we go throughout the book, we'll be looking for the different parts of the plot.